39.
They were right on 39, yeah.
What happened?
The fire was in the back. I don't know. Electrical fire. It was electrical.
All right, we are going to go ahead
The dough was out, but
and get started.
it was true.
There we go. All right, welcome to our Who's Who of 4-H Club Leader Development Series for March 2020. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for those of you joining us online. We're excited to have you here. We've got a small but mighty group ready to go. Here's our agenda for tonight. We're going to talk about why this topic. I'm going to do a couple introductions, and then I have some special guest speakers, and then you will also get to still hear me talk quite a bit, but that's okay. So we've got a 4-H Youth Council person here. We have Fair Board people here, but we don't have an official speaker. We've got a leaders representative, junior leaders we will discuss, extension board, the extension office, and we're going to all be talking about the different roles and responsibilities each group has. And then we'll have some resources for club leaders, and we will have time for questions at the end. So, as a reminder, 4-H's mission is to provide real-life educational opportunities that develop young people who will have a positive impact in their communities and their world. As we go about tonight talking about the different groups involved with Hendricks County 4-H, we're hoping that we remember this mission and that all of the organizations we talk about are striving to follow this mission and lead our program to this mission. So why this topic? There are several groups that make up 4-H. It is honestly overwhelming for especially our new families. So we're hoping by educating the club leaders and the volunteers in the program about all of the different groups that help make 4-H successful, they will also be able to better explain it to our 4-H families as to who is who in our program. Each group offers something unique to the program. So each group works with different people. They have a different focus and they bring something different to the table. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that is tonight. And we are, again, hoping to also help guide the leaders to the right people. So if you have certain questions about this topic, you would know to go to this group. Or if you have certain questions about this topic, you will go to this group. So just giving you guys the support of hoping to clarify any questions you may have about who the different groups are that make up the Hendricks County 4-H program. So I do have a handout tonight. You can see it on the screen as well. I will also be uploading this handout to the website later this week. And this is sort of a cheat sheet as to who's who. It does not include the extension office, but it does include all of the other groups that we're going to talk about tonight. So again, tonight we're going to talk about Youth Council, Fair Board, leaders, cheerleaders, extension, and we will touch on what the extension office does and who we are in the extension office, so you also know who's who in our office. So up first, we are going to talk about 4-H Youth Council, and I'm going to turn it over to our president. He's going to introduce himself and educate you on what 4-H Council does.
Thank you, Katie. So I'm Brian Saylor. I'm the 4-H Youth Council president. So we serve as a governing body for the 4-H and local level, so mainly at the Hendricks County level. Obviously, we provide oversight for 4-H programs, kind of the governing body to the programs. We guide and promote the total 4-H youth development program, assist with program visibility, so trying to promote all programs across all levels within Hendricks County at the youth 4-H Youth Council level. We also promote and encourage the volunteer and resources development and accountability. So we encourage as many volunteers to come and donate their services throughout the entire year, just not during the fair season. And we also have SS programs to ensure policy and procedure is followed. So we are the rulers. We are enforcers. We actually write the laws or the rules within the book, which we try to minimize as much as possible, but sometimes that's tough. But that's our primary rules. So our major events. So to really start off, our flower fundraiser is really our only fundraisers for the Youth Council. And that promotes all of our trips. It supports kids in their first year of like Roundup and certain trips We pay for that. And then we support all the education throughout the year. So if there's a program like a STEM program, or if there was like some of our another STEM program was like the bee program. So we bought some hives for them last year, some coats and some safety equipment. And so we do that as well. We call that a grant, and we help promote those as well. But our flower fundraiser is going on as we speak. So sell some flowers. Well, obviously, I talked about the rules, the handbook. We oversight that, and the project oversight committees happen after the fair. So about October, November is when we look at all the projects and go through the rule book just to make sure everything is in line. If we have any concerns, we need to fine tune. But we really take most of our guidance straight from the state. We follow state fair rules to, I'd say 90% of the time we follow that. But some of our just county projects, we fine tune those. So those are only our county things. So we do our achievement banquet as well. At the end of the fair on Sunday afternoon, we have a nice banquet for all 4-H members are invited to come, and we encourage you to come. It's really a neat event. So we put that on. We pay for that as well out of the 4-H Youth Council's budget. And then that's what we promote our 10-year, 9-year members at that meeting. And then we obviously have club support. So this year, Katie and I and the executive committee have really tried to encourage all of our council members to come out to the clubs and to help donate some time and say, hey, we're here to help. You know, we don't know all the answers all the time, but if we can help you in some way, or maybe bring something from another club, we're here. We're trying to do that. So we're trying to participate within everybody's club, mainly in their rural area, in the local areas, is where we're trying to do that. So if you don't see a youth council member, call one of us up, and we'll be happy to come out and help you. So our structure is pretty simple. As our executive board includes our finance, our treasurer, vice president, president, myself, or secretary. And so that's Todd Dino as vice president, myself as president, Shirley Maloney is our treasurer, and Katie Smith is our secretary. And then we have multiple committees throughout the year. We established these probably back in November, December. December meeting, so it's November, January. And so we have trips and awards committees actually, I think everybody is on trips and awards committee this year because it takes a lot of help to do the white cards, as many of you struggled through those or went through those. We're hoping to get those all electronic eventually to make it a lot easier on Shirley. And then we have the achievement banquet committee, which is a large committee as well. Projects and rules committees, and so those are the folks that'll take those committees and at the fair work without the rules and look at the projects and get that all set up. And then we have a promotional marketing committee, and they're really out there trying to advocate for 4-H. We do it at local schools if we can. Some of like the Mayberry Cafe, I think, is having a festival. We're all be in that as well in the parade. So we're trying to promote 4-H wherever we can. Sometimes we send out flyers to certain areas where we're looking to bring the outside in some different areas of Hendricks County. Then we have the flower committee. That's been myself and a few others. It's a big undertaking, but we invite everybody's help to do that, and hopefully we get that more fine tuned. Bylaws committee. We just updated our bylaws. We only do that about every 3-4 years, and so we do that. We just finished our new bylaws, had an approval, and then it just takes 2 fair board or 2 youth council meetings to approve that. So. But that's a big undertaking. We fine tune that this year as well. Finance committee, of course, you got to have the folks on the finance committee. They approve the budget, make the budget, and then the full youth council approves it. And then nominating committee. And so our nominating committee is really to encourage folks from volunteers or anybody within 4-H in Hendricks County to come and be a part of youth council. And so we're getting ready to redo some of the qualifications, really requirements. I mean, it's a volunteer, right? And so we're asking people to do a lot of things, and we're just hoping everybody can come and be a part of it. So that's more or less the youth council structure. Oh, yes. As some of you are very aware, we do audits. We do almost every animal project and any of the larger projects. We do audits every year, about the February timeframe. But a couple weeks ago, Shirley and I, a few other on the finance committee did that. And so, if you're new to the leader program, you'll be picked to come and talk to us, see what the opportunities are, and just keeping your finances in order. So we do audits on an annual basis. Okay.
Questions for Brian about council? Because he is going to have to head out. Thank you, Brian, very much. Appreciate it. All right. So next we're going to talk about Fair Board. So as Brian mentioned about the council, so the council is the governing body of 4-H at the local level. They're the policy setters. The Fair Board, as you can see, we have these wonderful facilities. That is their bread and butter. So their goal is to operate a year-round event complex that benefits all Hendricks County residents. They do the 4-H fair. The fair is their baby. They oversee facility operations and employment functions of the Fair Board, identify appropriate avenues to generate additional resources, and they advertise and promote the Hendricks County 4-H fair and facilities. So while council is really focused on the 4-H program as a whole, advertising, the Fair Board typically promotes the fair itself or the fact that we have these wonderful facilities here. That's not to say that the two don't overlap because, again, what we do in 4-H is we try and work together as best we can. But the Fair Board, definitely their focus is facilities, grounds, and the fair. So some major events that they host, one is the fair. They oversee things like the fair schedule, the auction at the fair. They do facilities and grounds upkeep and maintenance. They hire people to help on the facilities as well to make sure everything's looking great and working right. They do the rentals and the space usage. So tonight you'll see we have lots of meetings that are going on throughout the facilities. We couldn't do that without the support of Fair Board and the people that they have hired to make sure that our rentals are happening. They also do things like the Queen Contest, so they're in charge of that at the fair. Their structure is similar to council. They have an executive board, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and then they have different committees as well. So they have fair committees, which are specifically focused on fair activities, and then they have standing committees, which are more general practices for the Fair Board, and some of those might relate more to the grounds itself. So for the fair committees, they have things like logistics that looks at who's going to do what, where's it going to go, concessions and vendors, all of those wonderful food vendors we have up and down the promenade during fair. Fair Board goes out and makes contracts, gets all of those people to come here and support us. Entertainment, we have fantastic entertainment at the county fair. I think Fair Board says time and time again, they are kind of a state fair at a county fair price. So state fair quality at county fair price, which is awesome because we have so much entertainment, lots of free entertainment. We've got great things coming this year. The livestock committee really helps oversee things like tag-in at the for our animals. They oversee the shows. They help the leaders, and that's again we're going to talk about how people work together. Our livestock committee on Fair Board. They work with the leaders to make sure the shows are running smoothly, everything's getting done on that aspect. They also work with council when it comes to the rules and policies. Do what? And check-in, yes, absolutely. So, and check-in, they all work together. A great example is beef. So council has tried to have someone from the council at every check-in as well as Fair Board. So Fair Board has barn directors. Council has somebody there trying to help interpret the rules as well because that's their position. So Fair Board people are there making sure they have everything they need to check in. Beef has all of the leaders, the club leaders for the beef club there helping as well with check-in. So it is really a group process, but that's what the livestock committee looks like on Fair Board. And then they have special events. So things like the 5K that they do at the fair, a couple of the other special events that we've had based around the theme of the fair, that's all been involved from this special events committee. And then they also have standing committees as well that again see over the general business of the Fair Board. So bylaws, the associates oversee the young adults that want to participate on Fair Board. Finance Committee oversees the finances of Fair Board. They also have a marketing committee and a nominating committee, like Brian mentioned earlier in the council. Operations, that committee is what sees the day-to-day process of the facilities, and if there's major purchases that need to happen, major things that are coming up at the fairgrounds, the operations is really involved with that. Sponsorship is who goes out and really helps us get funds for things at the fair, making sure that there's all of the sponsorship banners and stuff that you see down at the fair, the NSSB arena, all of those have come from the sponsorship committee going out and saying, hey, we would like your support. And then we do have a future fair committee that meets to discuss the future fair, pros, cons, what we would like to see happen within future fairs. So that's some basics about Fair Board. Some other, yeah, Rick, thanks. So the difference also with another unique thing with our fair board, especially in Hendricks County, we are a much bigger fair. We are a much bigger fairgrounds. Our fair board has hired people to help. So Steve Patterson, I'm sure probably all of you know Steve. He is our awesome complex director. He makes sure all of the meetings that are happening here tonight are happening in rooms and working, and all of the big events that come in typically go through Steve. He could not do it alone though. Krista and Patty down here at the bottom, the rental coordinators, they help do rentals as well, so making sure facilities are being rented. We are very lucky that in 4-H that, a majority of our meetings we don't get charged for, which is awesome, because that allows us to do programming in a great facility that's centrally located for our 4-Hers. Chris and Lisa are the facility supervisors, and they are the people that are making sure everything works. These are the people that I call when things break in my office because I did something, and they are wonderful and don't gripe at me too much when they have to come fix it. But we are really grateful for all of these people. They are employed by the Fair Board, so the Operations Committee, again, helps make those positions available and supervises those positions as well, so they kind of report to the Fair Board ultimately. But that is unique. If you go to some of the smaller counties, you're not going to see this type of structure set up for their Fair Board. Questions for Fair Board? About Fair Board. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about leaders, and I'm going to have Shirley come up and introduce herself. And like I said, we've talked about council, we've talked about Fair Board. Leaders is another very important group that works with Fair Board and council.
Hello, I'm Shirley Maloney. I'm the treasurer for our leaders organization. I'll just tell you a little bit about what we do. Some of you are probably aware, but we provide training and educational programs and things like that for adult leaders. We just this past month did a first aid training, had a fire EMT come in and do a nice program for us. We try to get educational information out there for everybody. We provide communication to and between leaders, try to keep us all on the same page. There's so many new things happening. Just try to make sure that we're all aware of anything that we need to know as a leader for our club coming up. We also establish communication with and provide recommendations to the Youth Council and the Fair Board. So we do give our input as far as things that we see that may need to be looked at, or things that have gone well, or things that we might want to see them look at a little bit differently for future years based on what we are seeing from our club perspective.
And you have people that sit on those.
Oh, yes, we do have people that sit on the boards for those. We have a youth council representative and Fair Board representative from our organization that sits on those boards. So they do go to each of the meetings each month, and so they're aware of everything that's going on their end. They can also come back and let us know at our leaders meetings what's going on and new things that are coming down the pike. We do try to assist in recruiting new leaders and volunteers, which is a kind of ongoing thing that we work on, always trying to get new people involved, new blood as leaders are kind of progressing along in their time frame, trying to get some new help coming along and give those names to Katie and let her kind of go through that and find some new awesome volunteers for us. We promote and publicize the 4-H youth programs, and we encourage participation in the 4-H program also on a local level with our clubs. Some of the major events that we do are the 4-H open house, which is in the fall. That is basically to promote 4-H information sent out from the office to all the all the elementary kids, and anybody can really come to this. But we try to set up tables and have adults there to answer questions about all the different projects. They can also sign up for their projects and for 4-H that evening, and have a lot of people here to answer questions and kind of help people get interested and get more involved in the program. We do have a T-shirt sales that we do each year. We use the funds for that. We do have a treasury within the leaders. We use the funds for that for various things that are needed. One thing that we're doing this year is we are providing first aid kits for all of the clubs that are needing or wanting those for their local clubs or county clubs. We also give money towards different awards for the fair. They have Grand and Reserve Grand Champion trophies, so we donate towards that. And we always try to see if there are other interesting things that are needed. We have provided tablecloths in the past for use in the auditorium. We also have designated funds towards computer purchase because we use a lot of different computers for a lot of the different programs and for the fair, especially during check-in. We try to do that. Volunteer support and training. Try to help with that as much as we can, and assisting with the fair activities. There are multitudes of ways that we as leaders help with the county fair, from projects to helping with any of the animal projects to helping with basically any activity that's going on at the fair. There's always a need for more people to help. So we try to volunteer, and a lot of us out here quite a bit, I know, and doing a lot to help keep the fair going forward. We do have 3 meetings a year. Our meeting early in the year, which we just had recently, is usually set up to do some type of a training program. Again, we just had the first aid training, so some kind of informational training program. We have a meeting in June that is primarily gearing us up to the fair, getting all the information that we need as a club leader for the fair, getting the cards that we need for the kids, getting everything that we need ready to get the kids ready to bring their projects down. And then we have a meeting in the fall that we do have officer elections, and just do a recap of the year and talk about things that we want to do upcoming year. We do have a president within the organization. We have a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. And committees, the main real committee that we have is open house committee, because that's our really big projects that we do. And we also have t-shirt committee. The people work on that as far as getting our sales and everything going for that. And then we do other committees as needed as we go through the year.
All right. Any questions about leaders? Leaders group. As a club leader, the leaders meetings are not mandatory to attend. They're strongly encouraged because it's just a great time to network with other leaders, gather information. It's a great resource. They're designed to be tools for you as leaders to be able to take back stuff to your club and utilize them there. So thank you very much. All right. Junior leaders are next. So junior leaders are our young leaders of the so this is for 7th through 12th graders, and their role is to encourage the development of young adults, provide assistance to the club leaders at the local level. They also do a lot of leadership with different 4-H activities. They are my go-to people for Mini 4-H. They help run the Mini 4-H program pretty much, and they provide leadership on a lot of other county-wide 4-H activities. And then they're brought together to collaborate, socialize, and experience 4-H on a whole nother level. So when I explain junior leaders to people, I say that these are our 7th through 12th graders that have decided to take leadership to the next level within the 4-H program. So some things that they do, we have monthly meetings starting in about October, November, going through the fair. And then their big thing is the 4-H Cafe. You'll see them down there. Taking money, putting in orders, getting everything ready to go. They make sure they help the managers of the 4-H Cafe clean it. They make sure that it is properly ready, shut down and ready to go for the next day. They assist with check-in, check-out, shows, all sorts of stuff throughout the fair. Our junior leaders, again, I tell them all the time, fair couldn't run without them because they are the helpers for just about every event. And then they help run, like I said, a lot of different 4-H programs. They help me a lot with mini 4-H. It's where a lot of our camp counselors come from. Not all of our camp counselors are junior leaders, but a lot of them are in the junior leader program. And then one of the things that they have really taken on in the past 4 or 5 years is volunteer appreciation. You can actually see this with a picture a couple years ago. They did an appreciation banquet for our volunteers and brought in a hypnotist. And you can see some of our volunteers were participating in the hypnotizing. So they're structured. We do have an executive board. We've got a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, but we also have additional ones. So you're going to test me on this one. We've got our membership director who helps make sure things are going smoothly, welcomes people. We've got our public relations person. They make sure we're advertising and getting the word out about junior leaders. We've got our community service person who helps organize community service projects. And then we also, junior leaders also has 2 4-H youth council representatives. So we have 2 youth that sit on the 4-H council and serve as the voice of youth on the 4-H council to make sure, especially when it comes time for policies and procedures, that those policies and procedures are actually what what youth want and should be reflective, making sure it's appropriate, and they're bringing the voice of the youth. So if there is a concern brought up in junior leaders or within clubs, it's great to actually have it brought to the council from a youth perspective because they see things differently than we do. So we think those 2 positions are really important to have on the council. Some committees we have a promotional and outreach committee. We've got a STEM committee, so they're helping my STEM coordinators with some various STEM events throughout the year. We have the Ag Day committee, and Ag Day is a day where all the 4th graders in Hendricks County are invited to come to the fairgrounds, learn about ag, and we'll have, this year we'll have over 700 4th graders join us for the program, and our junior leaders help lead groups, and they also help with our biotech biofuel blast station where we teach kids about biofuels. They help with mini 4-H, so one of the committees kids can sign up for is mini 4-H. We have new family orientation, so that's something we do every year. The junior leaders help me with that event by working with the kids that come to that meeting. They'll take them to another room, do activities with them, answer questions about the 4-H program, and really just get them to know each other and a peer activity. And then we have a showcase, also known as they help me run the stage. They do the lights. They help MC. They help welcome people, set up, clean up, everything. And then we have other committees as necessary. But these kids really do help a lot of our county projects and programs we couldn't do without our junior leaders. Questions about junior leaders?
And it is a project.
It is a project, yes. So you can complete 4-H by being a part of junior leaders, and that's it. Doing all of our fun activities. They also go on a completion trip every year. So this year is to be determined. Last year we went to Turkey Run State Park. We've been up to one of the pictures actually. This picture was from a trip a couple years ago. We went up to South Bend. We went whitewater rafting, and this was the South Bend Chocolate Factory. And we did something. We went to the zoo up there as well. So that was one of their completion trips that they went on. And I will say that we are looking for, our junior leader program is continually growing. We have 150 kids signed up right now. And that's a lot. So we are actually looking for some additional adult volunteers. So not to add to your plate, club leaders, because you obviously have a club of your own. But if you have parents that are in your club that are saying, hey, I don't know, but I don't know what I should do in 4-H. I want to be a volunteer, but I'm not sure what to do. And you think they would be great addition to working with our junior leader program, send them my way, because we are looking to add to the advisors we have, the adults that we have that come to these meetings and participate in junior leader activities, so that we can just make sure that the kids are, one, we have a great ratio of adults to youth, and 2, that my officers have a good opportunity to report to different people, because as in the workplace, sometimes you report to multiple people. Plus, it's a lot on me right now. So I would love to have additional help if you are interested. Next, Extension Board. We're going to talk about that. So the Extension Board's role is to help program plan, implement, and evaluate. This is a group of people that are from all parts of the county. They represent all different backgrounds. This is not specific to 4-H. every extension program in the state of Indiana has an extension board. And the extension board's job is to really make sure extension as a whole, so not just 4-H, but all of the other components of the extension program, we're doing our job. So they provide financial support and resource and identify resources. They might bring to the table, hey, here's a good community partner for extension. They advocate for extension, and then they also are the ones that sit in on interviews if there's a personnel, and they make recommendations for hiring, that type of stuff. So, for example, if an educator, if there was a spot to come open, the extension board would sit in on that interview. They do not necessarily they do not hire and fire, but they're sort of the representation of the county that reports back to Purdue and says, this is what we didn't like about these different candidates. So they do help with the personnel assistance. So they have roughly 5 meetings a year, 4 business meetings, and then an annual extension meeting, typically in the fall. And they also participate in the reviewing of educators. So every year at the end of the year, we as educators have to pretty much showcase what we've done for the year, and we do that to the extension board. As a 4-H educator, I also try and at least bring that to council, fair board leaders, all of the different groups to showcase what we have done throughout the year, because there's a lot that goes on in our 4-H program. So this is a chance for, again, lots of different people from the community to guide our program, see what we should be doing, see what we're doing well, see what maybe we need to improve on as educators for the following year. And we do have officers, and we have some specific, we do have some committees. One is the nominating committee. They typically have a committee for the extension, a breakfast or a supper or whatever it looks like in the fall. And then they have other committees as needed. So this is also, the extension board also plays a role in the grievance policy. So policy, if there is something that happens, that's a rule that somebody doesn't agree with, or there's a policy that somebody doesn't necessarily agree with, they can file what we call a grievance, and it is their chance to be heard within the 4-H program. And the way that works is there's a committee that's put together of certain groups of people, and if the party decides to appeal it, it would go to the larger council, because council is the governing body at the local level. And then if they decide they still don't like that decision, it would then be appealed to the extension board, and the extension board has final say over all rulings of grievances. So they do help oversee policies and making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing as educators and as our program as a whole too. Questions about that? We're going to talk about the extension office. This is some of our awesome extension staff here, as you can see. So Purdue Extension enhances lives and livelihoods by providing information, resources, and insights through educational opportunities. And we support the community in the areas of 4-H youth development, ag and natural resources, community development, and health and human sciences. These 4 different areas you will see across the state in various ways, because extension is in all 92 counties. Every county has some sort of extension office. It may not look like ours, but everybody has some support of these areas in some shape or form. So some major things that we as an extension office do, the big one is going to be communication. So we communicate to our 4-H families through a newsletter we put out monthly. We have lots of mailings that go out. We have social media, emails. We provide support for 4-H online and fair entry. I've got staff that are awesome and very knowledgeable about that. We provide programs related to extension areas. We also do volunteer and youth development, and that's again across all different program areas. We are your connection to Purdue, so we have the ability to reach out to Purdue and use resources, all of their research that's out there. As an extension of Purdue, we have a lot of connections that we can make. That also means that our job is to make sure that all of our different groups are following policies and procedures that are set forth by Purdue Extension and whatever national organization we would report to. So, for example, National 4-H, to make sure we're in the right on all of those. Another big event where all of our different areas come together is Ag Day. I mentioned that earlier. This is a picture from last year where we bring in fourth graders to educate them about agriculture, and each area, so ag, natural resources, health and human sciences, 4-H, we all have a different area in Ag Day that we talk about. We do partner with our local FFA chapters to educate the youth, so FFA chapters also bring in people, and we do have a couple other sponsors and community partners that come in and just have stations set up for kids to learn about different topics related to agriculture. So I was going to put everybody's picture exactly by their name, but I decided not to. But most of you also know our staff. We are very lucky to have such an awesome front office staff. So Ashley Alexander is our tech coordinator and 4-H administrative assistant. So she is a majority of my brain. I would say the other half of my brain, but she's literally a majority of my brain. She does so much to help me and keep me on track. So anything 4-H wise, Ashley's kind of the point person in the front office. Janet and Carol can both help with 4-H, but Ashley is really the person that usually has a lot of the information because she is the official 4-H administrative assistant. Janet Cunningham has been in our office for a while, and she is the A&R Community Development Administrative Assistant. So she helps our A&R educator do a lot of his programs, prep for that. Master Gardeners report to Janet and do a lot with her. Carol Pearson is our office manager and HHS administrative assistant. So a lot of programs related to HHS Carol helps with. She works with the extension homemakers as well. Again, all of these people that we talk about can help answer 4-H questions too. Luckily, we have a very supportive staff, and I think we work very well together. They're going to make sure that if there's a question they can't answer, they're going to get it to the right person. Additional staff we have in our office, we have Carla Smith, who is our program assistant for all extension areas. So she helps with everything under the sun in the 4-H or in the extension office. And I will say, so I said Ashley's a majority of my brain. I think Carla's the other part of my brain because they help keep me on track and make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm supposed to be doing it. Dana Brown is our part-time administrative assistant, so she's here a few days here and there, and she'll be here a lot more during the summer as well to help us get ready for fair. So there's our lovely picture. We do have educators in the office. So Mindy Duckett is our community wellness coordinator. She's not an official extension educator, but she is up there. She does a lot of stuff within the community that revolves around wellness. So her big thing is like policy change. So making sure there are healthy policies set forth. She works with different groups like the hospital, farmers markets, all of those types of things around wellness. Beth Schweitzer is our Health and Human Sciences and County Extension Director. So she works with homemakers. She does some HHS programming. Jeff Pell is our Ag and Natural Resources and Community Development Educator. And then I am the 4-H Youth Development Extension Educator. So Jeff is also the one who works with Master Gardeners. He's the one that you call if your tomato plants are dying and you don't know why. He will help get you those answers because it's not me because I kill plants. So this is a lovely holiday party. I think this past year we were all very festive. So some resources for you guys. I put up the club leader page on there. I've had the Indiana 4-H volunteer page, and then National 4-H also just has basic leadership resources as well. There will be, like I said, a handout here tonight, and then I will upload that as well as a cheat sheet. Each of these different organizations help leaders, help volunteers in different ways. So hopefully you learned a little bit tonight about what each organization does. Contact info again. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and this will be uploaded on YouTube sometime this week as well as with the resources. So at this time, are there any questions?
Where is your brain if they have?
They keep me on track, man. They do.
You have no brain.
Most days. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Those of you that are joining online, I appreciate it. Thank you for those that are here.